So I'm curious, when you begin your practice, how long does it take for you to really settle in? For me, it takes a long time. And I'm wondering if I'm probably not alone in that. And if I'm not alone in the ways that it can feel like when I sit and begin practicing that the body, mind, heart should just get in line with that, like right away. Right? That subtle or not so subtle demand that we should just kind of immediately be mindful, calm, present, open, no matter where in our day or our lives we are, or how stressed or overwhelmed or tired we may be. So patience is such an essential ingredient in our practice, and certainly in setting up and maintaining our holding environment. And of course, that bumps up against the conditioning of our culture, right? Patience really not valued in our current world. Everything is now immediate. And it's really impossible for us each not to be impacted by that. And that too is part of our practice, right? Slowing that down, noticing the ways that we've internalized messages of impatience, expectation for immediate satisfaction, immediate change, immediate relief. And so we want to notice when we're coming into the practice with those expectations about how quickly even we should settle in or feel present and mindful. Here in the daily sit, we use words as invitations, right? Those gentle invitations like allow, soften, settle, relax. But depending on where we are in our minds, sometimes those can really kind of become demands. And we can get frustrated with ourselves or think we're failing at our practice when our systems don't respond immediately. Even though we know that we are part of nature, that we cannot command ourselves to suddenly shift in that way. We can't expect the mind, body, and heart to be how we think they should be. Jack Kornfield speaks a lot about patience, and he especially points to the element of trust that's in it. He says, trust remembers that the universe is lawful. We can trust that when we plant an apple seed, we get an apple tree. This is patience, that as we plant seeds, be they of an apple tree or the seeds of mindfulness, compassion, that they will bear fruit in their own time. And we want to trust our bodies, our systems to unfold and settle in their own time. And when we talk about any of these qualities, I think it's really important to bring to mind when we have really felt them, when we have had a sense of embodying or experiencing them. And last week, Lori, you shared about losing your cat and that process of seeing the strength that the holding environment provided to her to really allow the pain of that to move through and be present. And I wanted to share about being with my beloved cat, Vanumantu, who died about 1.5 years ago, and what I learned about patience, especially in the last kind of weeks and days of his life, when it was really clear that there was not much more we could do and we were going to have to put him down. And he would often be in distress, especially at night, might wake me up. And as someone who tends to be really protective of my sleep, I was surprised at the unbounded patience and love that I felt. Like just wanting to be with him in his distress, help him feel not alone, however that was needed and for however long, right? Maybe until he settled and fell back to sleep, Or if he wasn't able to do that, just being with him, helping him maybe find some ease, or just being connected in the dis-ease. And I really felt like I could hold and be with him no matter how long it took. It was an honor to be with him in that. That's actually what it felt like. And that was a real lesson for me. That felt presence that could hold him with such care and love. And what would it be like to bring that same patience to my own settling and meditation process, to this body and mind and heart? It's much harder, much, much harder. And it helps me to consider, what are we actually asking ourselves to be patient with internally during our practice and in our settling process? Almost always, it's the places in us that have long protected us, right? Our deepest conditioned knots of resistance and fear and protection. Michelle McDonald talks about this a lot, how often the deeper we go in our practice, the more we come up against places in us that feel chronically stuck or blocked or tight. And how so often these are the very aspects of our being that have been trying to protect us, that help us daily. And can we appreciate that? Recognize that sometimes we come into our practice saying, all right, relax, settle, be calm, soften. And we're saying that to places in us that don't know how to do that, that can't soften right away, that may be holding chronic tension or fear or vigilance and pain. And patience really brings and has an appreciation and gratitude for that, understanding and compassion for that, and trust in the pace of those parts of us. So as we settle into the practice, do we thank the agitated planning mind that may be spinning that helps us get through our busy days? Do we thank the guarded, closed heart that protects our vulnerable tenderness? Do we appreciate or acknowledge the vigilant or tight places in the body that may long be trying to keep us from feeling deeper pain or exhaustion underneath? Do we honor those places or consider their process of softening and releasing? Or do we view them sometimes as in the way, suddenly a problem or an obstacle to our practice, something to get rid of? And we all have those places in us, right? A patient holding environment, as Jack Kornfield said, understands and trusts the lawful nature of things. That those deeply held patterns and protections will not unbind or release in one sit or because we say they should. And that there is no controlling them, but a building of a relationship with them that may span months or even years in our practice. And are we willing to hold patience and trust with that process? To hold that same energy I felt with my cat Vanumantu when he was struggling and afraid and in pain. Like, I'm right here with you. If you settle or not, it's okay. It's an honor to be with you, however you are, and whatever you need, and however long it takes. I mean, as I'm saying that, I'm like, I do not often feel that toward myself. But if we spend the entire sit gradually settling in little by little and tending to or holding space for the places in us that may not be able to soften or open up, can we trust that this is good practice? That we're allowing our nervous systems and busy minds and tense or disconnected bodies to gradually trust that it's okay to be here and to really fully connect to what's happening in our day-to-day lives, and perhaps in our past, it may not often have been okay or safe. I think about how our systems, our minds, our bodies, they're not switches, but maybe more like dimmers or brighteners, right? And I want to be clear as I share about patience that this is not a demand or a should either, right? That we be patient 100% of the time and only that. We can be patient with impatience and with resistance. And to be honest, that's a lot of my practice. That's a lot of what's going on behind these eyes when I'm sitting. I am trying to hold my impatience, my restless, often anxious, intense mind and body. But kind of patience reminds me that I'm not trying to control or manipulate or make anything happen. I can notice when that energy is present and slow down with it. And so we're trusting ourselves in that also, right? Trusting our capacity to hold and be with what's here and not force or try to control it. And as we practice that more with ourselves on the cushion, with the setting up of the practice in our holding environment, we will be able to practice and bring that kind of patience to others in the world and in our lives. So I wanted to end with a quote by David G. Allen. Patience is the calm acceptance that things can happen in a different order than the one you had in mind. So thank you. Thank you for your attention. And let's practice this today and really sprinkle or bring patience in as we set up the holding environment. Maybe just kind of listening in first to see what's here, how your body is today. Even having just sat for 10, 15 minutes, right? What's needed. Might want to stretch a little bit. Bring attention to places that do hold tension often, maybe the neck or shoulders, back, maybe twisting gently. But again, with the attitude and energy of not forcing, with the awareness that however it is right now in the body, can that be okay? And same with the breath, maybe noticing the breath moving, the in-breath and out-breath. And always we can invite a little more softness, a little more space for the breath to fully move. And we can also notice and care for and be patient with places where the breath feels tight or shallow, or where we really just can't even feel it. No problem. Just seeing how it is to begin to land. Knowing that we might need to invite that back in, that sense of arriving and landing again and again throughout our practice. But maybe feeling the contact of the floor or chair or cushion underneath you, the contact of the hands resting on the legs or in the lap. The contact of the air against your skin. of the breath at the nostrils or lips. And bringing patience also as we begin to sense the attitude and tenor of the mind. Just seeing how you're coming in today. If the mind is feeling sluggish, restless, worried, scattered. Just seeing as we continue to settle, land, if we can really allow what's here to be here. If we can patiently hold and not try to make different, but be with, accompany ourselves moment to moment as best we can. And perhaps in moments, remembering, trusting that even if we're just barely beginning to settle, mind or the body, the heart, that staying with that process with patience is wonderful practice. No rush, no hurry.